Laudetur Jesus Christus. Vatican and World News.
In the headlines this Monday, March the 22nd, Pope Francis marks World Water Day with a message in which he calls for urgent action to stop wasting and polluting sister water. The Vatican promotes an online event to advance integral disarmament in times of pandemic. And Hungary's Cardinal Peter Erdő launches the Amoris Laetitia Family Year with a special celebration of Holy Mass in Budapest. In the Vatican, I'm Linda Bordoni. Pope Francis today marked World Water Day with a video message in which he stressed that clean drinking water should be provided for all around the world, and there should be no more waste or commodification of the precious resource. The message was read out by Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin during an online event at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization. In order to ensure fair access to water, the Pope said, it is of vital urgency to act without delay, to stop once and for all its waste, commodification and contamination. The Pope noted that collaboration between states, between the public and private sector is more necessary than ever, as well as the multiplication of initiatives on part of intergovernmental bodies. And he said, just as urgent is a binding juridical coverage, a systematic and effective support so that all the areas of the planet get enough quality drinking water. Also on Monday, Pope Francis told the community of the Pontifical Filipino College that they should know the past, prepare for the future, and fully experience the present as an opportunity for formation and growth in holiness. He was speaking on the occasion of the college's 60th anniversary. Lydia O'Kane reports.
Last Sunday in St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Francis commemorated the 500th anniversary of the evangelization of the Philippines and of the celebration of the First Holy Mass, which took place on Easter Sunday, the 31st of March in 1561. Just a week on from that commemoration, Pope Francis on Monday met with priests, religious and laity from the Pontifical Filipino College in Rome to mark the 60th anniversary of the college's foundation. Addressing those gathered in the Vatican, the Pope shared with them some thoughts about time, remarking that time itself is a gift from God to be used responsibly to express our gratitude to Him, to do good works, and to look to the future with hope.
Vorrei condividere con voi qualche riflessione sul tempo.
Beginning with the past, Pope Francis underlined that it was an opportunity to flick through our family album to remember where we come from and the experiences of faith and the testimonies to the gospel that have made us who we are today. For priests, he added, we think especially of the time we discovered our vocation, the moment when we said our first convinced yes to God's call, and the day of our ordination. Whenever you feel weary and disheartened, advised the Pope, look back on your history, not to find refuge in an idealized past, but to regain the momentum and passion of your first love. If the past can help us be more aware of the firmness of our faith and vocation, he noted, the future broadens our horizons and teaches us hope. However, the Pope cautioned that looking to the future should avoid the temptation to take refuge in the future and not serenely confront the present. Do not be eternal procrastinators, he stressed. Do not live in constant apnea, simply tolerating the present and waiting for it to pass. Pope Francis went on to say that looking to the future in a positive sense means having a prophetic gaze. It also means seeing possibilities and working in accordance with his own vocation to make them happen, acting as a docile instrument in God's hands. Returning to the present moment in time, the Pope emphasised that now is the time to be decisive and take advantage of pastoral experiences. In conclusion, Pope Francis reiterated that it was important to know the past, prepare for the future, and fully experience the present as an opportunity for formation and growth in holiness. I'm Lydia O'Kane.
Pope Francis has spoken by phone to French President Emmanuel Macron to discuss several international issues of common concern. As Devon Watkins reports, the two spoke about the Pope's recent visit to Iraq and the challenges of a post-COVID world.
Pope Francis and France's President Emmanuel Macron spoke by phone on Sunday, according to a press release from the President's office at Élysée Palace. The call, which was reportedly requested by the Pope, marks the fourth time the two world leaders have spoken since Macron's election in 2017. Their conversation reportedly lasted around 40 minutes. The last time they spoke was on October 30th last year after the attacks on the Cathedral of Nice, which killed 3 people. The Élysée press office said that during their Sunday conversation, the two spoke at length about Pope Francis's recent apostolic journey to Iraq. Macron said the visit marked a true turning point for the Middle Eastern region. The pair also dwelt on their thoughts and concerns about several crises affecting various parts of the globe. These included the expansion of jihadism in Africa, both in the Sahel region and on the continent's east coast. The critical situation in Lebanon also came up, as well as the instability caused by nations that, quote, use religious diplomacy for political purposes. According to the Élysée press statement, President Macron also spoke to the Pope about the challenges of a post-COVID world. Pope Francis recently published a book with British journalist Austin Ivory on the subject, in which he said humanity has been given the opportunity to build a better world after the pandemic. I'm Devin Watkins.
The Vatican's Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development and the Vatican's COVID-19 Commission, in collaboration with other international organisations, are preparing to host the online event Advancing Integral Disarmament in Times of Pandemic. During the webinar on Tuesday, the 23rd of March, religious representatives and researchers will reflect on the efforts to promote a global ceasefire by stopping weapons production and proliferation, to support the United Nations Secretary-General's and Pope Francis's calls for a global ceasefire. It aims to offer the international community and religious leaders concrete options to follow the path of integral disarmament in response to the encyclical Fratelli Tutti. Father Augusto Zampini, Adjunct Secretary of the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development, spoke to Vatican Radio of the urgency of the topic.
To promote a world without nuclear weapons has been always an aim, an important aim of humanity and of the Church. But to do it right now, it's important because right now we are facing a pandemic. That is not just a health crisis. The pandemic is an economic crisis, an ecological crisis, a security crisis. And we cannot get out of this pandemic in the same way as we entered. The Pope explained this very clearly last year. He said, from a pandemic we get out better or worse, not in the same way. So what does it mean? That all this recovery, bring back better, bring a better future, prepare the future, as we say in the Vatican COVID Commission, can only be achieved in peace, and can only be achieved if we invest less in weapons, not just in weapons of mass destruction and nuclear, but weapons in general, and more in social promotion, more in the new jobs of the future, more in the just transitions towards a new green economy, green and circular economy. And you know, money is not infinite, it's not unlimited. So we want particularly public money to be invested more on social promotion rather than on weapons. And the spillovers of this investment will promote peace. So that's why it's very important to do it right now more than ever.
And that was Father Augusto Zampini, Adjunct Secretary of the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. Meanwhile, in line with the British Prime Minister's plan to overhaul the armed forces, a statement by the Defence Ministry said the size of the army is expected to be reduced by about 10,000 soldiers as part of a move towards robots, drones and cyber warfare. The Defence Review is likely to see the loss of some tanks and aircraft, but the UK government said there would be more ships, submarines and sailors. Numbers in the regular army will be reduced to about 70,000 soldiers, already having fallen in the recent years. Defence Secretary Ben Wallace is expected to make a statement in the Commons later on. The move comes in the context of an increased defence budget. Areas of Australia that have seen their worst flooding in decades are bracing for more heavy rainfall, with the peak expected on Tuesday. The entire coast of New South Wales has been put on alert, with troops and hundreds of volunteers deployed. Roads and bridges have been cut off, cars and signs submerged, livestock marooned and schools closed. Prime Minister Scott Morrison told MPs there was serious risk still ahead, and weather officials said it's far from over. Meanwhile, some 18,000 people have been evacuated so far in the state, which is Australia's most populated, with 8 million residents. And finally, Cardinal Peter Erdő, Archbishop of Budapest and Primate of the Catholic Church in Hungary, has launched the year dedicated to the family with a special Mass. Pope Francis announced the Amoris Laetitia Family Year, marking the 5th anniversary of his apostolic exhortation of the same name. Stefan Boss reports that the Mass took place as Hungary expects to welcome Pope Francis later this year.
At a Mass held in a closed circle due to the coronavirus pandemic, Hungarian Archbishop Peter Erdő prayed for God's blessing to grant family strength. In published remarks about the Mass, he made clear that prayer was the best way to open a year that Pope Francis dedicated to the family. The Mass was also an attempt to prepare the Church for the arrival of Pope Francis, who will travel to Hungary's capital in September. Archbishop Erdő announced recently that the Pope was to appear at the 2020 International Eucharistic Congress, an annual Catholic clergy and laypeople gathering. He said it was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic that authorities say killed more than 18,000 people in Hungary alone. The Archbishop explained that Francis would instead visit the final day of the 8-day 52nd Congress in Budapest on September 12th. That visit comes as an encouragement to the many families in Hungary who struggle to survive as the European Union nation of nearly 10 million people faces economic challenges. But Hungary's Family Affairs Minister Katalin Novak wrote in a letter read at the Mass that she appreciates that families could always count on Christian Church's service. She said that church support was crucial as the government believes the traditional family, which she called a cornerstone of Christian life and culture, was currently under attack. Though Hungary's population is still declining, the government claims its pro-family policy helped increase the number of marriages by 80% since 2010. The State Secretary for Church Relations and Ethnic Minorities, Miklos Soltes, said at the Mass that the number of couples deciding to have children has also grown. He added that divorces fell by 27% under the current government, while the number of abortions has halved. And with Pope Francis due to visit Hungary for the first time, the government said it continues to count on Church's spiritual work. For Vatican Radio, I am Stefan Bos in Budapest.
That brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. Join us again tomorrow for more of the same. Meanwhile, for more on these and other stories, and to hear this broadcast as a podcast, please be sure to visit our web portal at www.vaticannews.va. You can also catch the latest updates on our Facebook page and on Twitter. My thanks go to Roberto Colangeli in studio. In the Vatican, I'm Linda Bordoni. Bye-bye.